Hey everyone, welcome. You're ready to dive into the Indian streetwear market.
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, so you've brought us this episode of the How to Make a Clothing and Streetwear Brand in India podcast.
Yep, episode 2.
And we're going to break down all the good
All
stuff.
the best insights for sure.
So get ready, folks, because this one's jam-packed with, actual advice, not just, theory,
Definitely. Lots of actionable takeaways. One thing that really struck me was the emphasis on market research.
Oh, 100%. They weren't messing around about that. They were like, you got to know the scene inside and out.
It's like before you even think about designs or branding, you got to understand the market you're stepping into.
Exactly. Like they made this point about analyzing online marketplaces.
Yeah, Mintra and such.
Yeah. And it's not just about checking out your competition. It's about going deeper, looking at customer reviews and stuff.
For sure. Seeing what's frustrating people, what's missing.
That's genius. Finding the gaps.
Exactly. That's where you come in, right? You see a competitor with amazing visuals, but their community engagement is non-existent.
Boom. Gap spotted.
Right. There's your opportunity.
So it's not just about being different. It's about being different in a way that actually matters to your audience.
100%. Finding those white spaces where you can offer something unique and valuable. Like maybe there's a huge demand for sustainable streetwear, but nobody's really doing it well yet.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Right. That's a gap you could fill.
It's like finding your own lane in a crowded highway, but instead of cars, it's dope designs and a brand story that really connects.
It's like having that roadmap, You wouldn't hit the road without it, right?
No way, man. Got to know where you're going.
Exactly. And that's what we're talking about here, having a clear direction for your research.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we make sure our research is laser focused?
They actually gave a really helpful tip in the podcast. Start by defining the question you want to answer.
Ooh, I like that. So it's not just about gathering a bunch of random information?
Nope. It's got to be targeted. Are you trying to figure out what your ideal customer looks like?
Okay.
Or maybe you want to know what your competitors are up to.
Okay, I'm getting it. So once you've got your question, then it's time to size up the competition, right?
Exactly. You got to know who you're up against.
And they recommended checking out at least, 5 to 10 competitors?
Yeah, at least. And don't just stick to the big names in India. See who's killing it internationally, too.
Globally, man, streetwear is everywhere these days.
Right. And what I found really helpful was their advice on, how to actually analyze those competitors.
Yeah, because it's not enough to just, know their names, what they sell.
Exactly. You got to dig deeper. The podcast called it Dissecting Their Strategies, which I thought was a pretty cool way to put it.
I like that. So how do we dissect? Give me the tools.
Well, they talked about using things like Google Trends.
Oh, smart. To see what's hot, what people are searching for.
Exactly. And the Facebook ads library, that one's like a gold mine for seeing what kind of marketing campaigns your competitors are running. Sneaky. Love it. It's like being a fly on the wall of their marketing team.
Right. And they even gave some specific questions to ask yourself as you're doing this analysis.
Oh, like what? Hit me with it.
So things like, what's their brand story? What's the vibe they're putting out there? Are they all about super polished visuals? Or are they more raw and authentic?
Right. Because that tells you a lot about who they're trying to reach.
Exactly. And then, how are they using social media? What are they posting about? Who are they trying to connect with?
And then there's pricing, too, right? Because that tells you a lot about their target audience.
100%. So as you start to piece all of this together, you get this, really clear picture of the competitive landscape. You see where the opportunities are, where the market might be oversaturated. So much good stuff. But we can't forget about the most important piece of the puzzle, right? The people who are actually going to be rocking these clothes.
The streetwear tribe. You got it.
It's time to understand our audience, man. Got to understand those streetwear heads. Yeah. So how do we get inside their heads? How do we really figure out what makes them tick?
Well, that's where the podcast really dives into this idea of buyer personas.
Okay, buyer personas. I've heard that term thrown around. Break it down for us.
It's basically creating these fictional but realistic representations of your ideal customers.
So it's instead of just saying, okay, we're targeting young people in India who are into streetwear, we're actually creating full-blown characters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're giving them names, backstories. You're figuring out what kind of music they listen to, what other brands they love, really getting specific.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful because it's The more you understand your audience, the better you can connect with them, right?
Exactly. It's about speaking their language, understanding their motivations, and the podcast, they really emphasize going beyond just like basic demographic.
Right, because it's not enough to just know, like, their age and location, right?
So, totally. They talked about this idea of psychographics, which is like diving into their values, their interests, their lifestyles.
So, like, what are their aspirations? What are their pain points? What keeps them up at night? Okay, this is getting deep.
It's about understanding what makes them tick. And the podcast even gave some like really specific examples of questions to ask yourself when you're creating these buyer personas.
Oh, like what? Give me the good stuff.
So things like, what are their biggest frustrations when it comes to buying streetwear? Are they, struggling to find brands that align with their values? Are they tired of the same old designs?
Man, I feel like I'm building a whole profile on these streetwear fans now.
That's the idea, because the more you know about them, the better equipped you are to create a brand that truly resonates. And that's what this whole deep dive boils down to, right? Understanding the Indian streetwear market from the inside out.
Absolutely. We've covered so much ground today, from like identifying those juicy market gaps to scoping out the competition to really getting deep into the minds of our target audience. This has been eye-opening.
It really shows you the power of research, right? You can't just jump into a new market blindly. You gotta do your homework.
Facts. So, to everyone listening, whether you're just starting out or you're already a streetwear aficionado, remember this: knowledge is power. And we've just dropped a whole lot of knowledge on you today. So go out there, do your research, find your niche, and make your mark on the Indian streetwear scene. Until next time, keep it stylish.